All right, hey Kevin. Wait, you're muted, Kevin.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're good.
Nice.
All right. So we left off on homemade waffles. Got three stocked homemade waffles.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, basically, so I 3 stock waffles. Then we played a Falco Ditto on Yoshi's. I nearly lost. It was like really close. So that got back to Mango, and that is the little spoiler I have.
Okay, cool. So that's I'm like so like oriented because I didn't think my my computer would freeze like that. By the way,
now I don't have a picture of you in the Link outfit. I just have a black screen.
You're 3-2 in on FOD since 2014.
Okay.
If that helps.
I feel like, well, okay. I mean, that's just. I don't take too much stock in my stats right now because I know that if I'm not playing too well, I'll like lose anywhere. So yeah. I'm more interested in those kind of stats in the future when I feel more all here. So I'm excited about what those stats are going to look like.
If we could only get a larger sample size from you.
I know. That's coming. I promise you. The stat, I'm not I'm not as interested in the stats as you, but I want to be curious how I do going to a lot of stuff more often too. So that's coming. I promise.
Yeah, no problem. No pressure. No pressure. It's kind of funny because Yuki keeps getting himself caught on FOD, and I'm still wondering how that keeps happening. We kind of talked about it, but
yeah, we talked about it on Smashboards actually, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I agree with your points. I think a mix of it, after looking into your insight, that part of it was him not playing well, but I also don't think FOD caters to his strengths.
Maybe, yeah. It is possible that he's used to follow-ups on the other stages more because the layouts are more similar on Dreamland Yoshi's Battlefield because the platforms are all stable heights and maybe proportional distances from each other or something, whereas in FOD that's not true, or at least not always true.
The sweet tipper up tilt hitbox is amazing. But anyway, is there any closing thoughts you want for us? Because it's about an hour. If you want to keep going a little longer, I'm more than happy to accommodate. But any closing thoughts?
We go a little bit longer. I know the topic was about improvement. I ended up talking about me the whole time, or most of the time, and then like trolling Mango 5% of the time, which, don't get me wrong, is a lot of fun. But I don't know if I feel because I did see some people in the chat that were like, I feel like there was supposed to be more improvement talk, and I felt a little bad. So if there was anything related to that, maybe we could talk about at least briefly. So I could feel a little better about it anyway.
Okay, so let's say like you're going out of a tournament, right? You notice like how I'm trying to like make it applicable to you lose, right?
Yeah.
And now like the question is, you go home. Where do you go from here? How do you break down and look at like what to work on for the next time?
That's not a bad question. So whether you lose on your local or you lose on the biggest stage Melee's ever seen, you can go home and if you have videos or not, you can. There's always the main thing that you can do. You're always going to have reasons why you lost. If you don't have reasons why you lost, it's worse than if you do have reasons. And people, like to, as soon as you like start explaining why you lose, you call Johns immediately. And I've written a little thing about maybe what is a John and what isn't, and it's not as clear cut as reasons for a loss. But I think it's more of how you use those reasons. But the more of what I'm talking about here is you're not necessarily going out and telling anyone unless it's like a training partner or something you're trying to work with. So you have your reasons. Let's say it's something like you didn't sleep well and you didn't know the Sheik matchup, and there was an annoying person having a conversation behind you. So there's a couple different things. So you work on all of those things. The biggest thing is I think usually people are not better off going and talking about why they lost on like social media, just because everyone like will just immediately say Johns, or you don't want to be good, or you're just complaining and everything like that. So it's kind of hard to make a productive discussion always, but I think if you have like training partners you work with and you kind of talk to them about it and you get their ideas, that's not so bad. Or if you're streaming and you get ideas, like let's suppose SFAT, he was on the show. He was streaming and he said, I am trouble sleeping well before events because I get anxious. What do you guys do for that? And you can talk to the stream about it, because they're less likely to call Johns on that than it's like he's trying to figure it out what to do. There are ways to kind of talk about it. But the point I'm kind of getting at here is there are usually not just in-game reasons for why you lose. Usually there's like a motivation type of reason, or like or maybe gameplay, maybe personal, but you're not really sure, and other stuff like that. And the important thing is, as long as you can kind of figure out what kind of the issue is and you take some different actions to kind of work on it, then that'll really help you. So if you want to work on the Sheik matchup, maybe you talk to a good Sheik player, maybe talk to Kirby Kaze or something like that. Or, if he's not going to talk to you, maybe you try the Sheik boards, or maybe you try Reddit, or maybe you go to a stream where someone knows about Sheik and try to talk to them, something like that. Or you just come up with your own ideas and you kind of test them out and you kind of see if that matches up with what's happening in YouTube videos. And then for sleep, you try different things for sleep, and you try to sleep regularly, and you see if there was a reason you couldn't sleep, or it's been an ongoing problem, or it's just before tournaments, and you try and work on that. And if it was an annoying person, maybe you work on music, or you work on your calm, or you work on just being totally immersed in the game. There are different kind of answers for that one. I think that type of problem is best crowdsourced, because there's a lot of different ways you can handle it, and you want to find someone that kind of feels the same way you do about it, I think.
Right.
So a big takeaway there is it's not always going to be in the game. It's not always going to be a frame data. You're not always going to have a frame data answer for an issue, and sometimes you have to be a little more creative and make use of the resources that exist now to kind of make the most of that. I think that's probably the best way I could say it.
And it's really nice that you point these things out, because people complain and say like people are too well developed right now to get into the game. But if you look at like the old days where there wasn't as much of a scene, you didn't have any resources to really return to be honest. And I feel like today, even though like the competition might be more in depth, like there might be a lot more people wanting to improve in Melee, there's so much information out there that you can use. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say there are a couple. You're gonna be getting good in a different way now than you would back then. So back then, if you want to be good, you might have to travel and find a group of people that are motivated, and you might just have to play with them. You have to download videos off the hub, whatever. Before YouTube, and if you had YouTube, watch those, and you had to find different ways to make the absolute most of that in Smash Bros. Discussion. So those are kind of your main tools there, and if you can get anyone new into the scene, you can kind of figure it out with them. Now you have lots of people that want to play. You have streams. You have different types of guides and things like that. I notice that sometimes the guides can be kind of misleading or whatever. So there is a kind of downside to having as much information, but I think overall it is good. And I think the type of information that's out there is decent at getting people past like a lot of entry level problems and getting them to at least start dealing with more of the nuances of the game, and start trying to deal with that. And so I like that, but I think there is still a big gap on focusing on a lot of fundamentals of the game. And I noticed that tends to come up in your Ask FM questions a lot. What are fundamentals? What are we really trying to achieve here? And that is, I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to work that out. And that's going to be probably the central focus of what I write a lot about.
I could give you my word clouds of my Ask FM, because I get the same questions over and over again, and I feel like that could be your market.
Yeah, and I would be interested in seeing that for sure, because there are a lot of I don't, you know, I want to solve the most pressing issues for people when I think that those type of fundamental things are are very central to what a lot of people deal with. So I'd love to try and help with that. And there, of course, there are other things, but that seems to be what is most like I haven't seen anyone write about stage control in any type of way, and I don't know how long. I haven't seen someone write about field pressure, and I don't know how long, or just thing, or you know what different things for tech chasing or edge guarding or whatever. You know, the only time I've ever heard too much about edge guarding is when Cactus and I did a thing on Smash practice when I was up there before Apex. We went through a couple different ways to cover options in Marth Fox, I believe. So that I think is pretty useful, and I think it was helpful having him there because it was another person to kind of work through that with. And ideally, I'll have setups like that for when I do my own writing. But yeah, I'd like to see more of that type of content out there because I think those are kind of the big questions that are not still fully answered. I always see, and you know, I would have liked to have seen more of Armada's matchup guides because I think those were simple, and I think that those got to he was pretty solid at reducing a lot of the complexity of it and just figuring and talking about the overall goals. So even if he had written more of his kind of stuff, that would have been pretty good for us. Even if they weren't all Peach players, to kind of get an idea of how you should be breaking down matchups. So I like that as well. So hopefully we'll see more content like that.
Yeah, I was paying him out of pocket to write those guides. So
I did not know that.
So maybe crowdsource chat if you want more Armada guides. It was getting kind of expensive on my pocket, but got a trolley question for you. You and Mango both see yourselves as the American hero and both love Captain America and want to embody Captain America. It seems like who's the true Captain America between you and Mango?
It's a question with a lot of answers. Well, I think we both do very separate parts of it. I think Mango has been pretty good about a lot of the different charisma type of aspects, getting people to kind of get on board with, a lot of the fun-loving stuff, a lot of you just got to do it. You don't need to have complicated thinking or theories or anything. You just got to do it. And he's been good at kind of selling that YOLO part of it, and that's important. It's very important, and that's been a kind of resource of mine. I've been able to tap into since I've been depressed for a while, but that's becoming to be less of an issue. But still, I think the kind of part that I more tap into is we're fighting for truth and justice, and being very principled and all this stuff. So I think there's a very different part of it that I'm tapping into. But I think it's very interesting. I think that together we're more of a Captain America than either of us necessarily are separately. And maybe that's not a fun answer, but it is what I think.
Yeah. One of the moments I really loved about you guys is that you and Mango teamed at Impulse, and I thought that was the sweetest thing ever in terms of teams. How was that?
It was. I liked us a lot more at Skatar.
Oh yeah, you guys teamed us. Did you guys win Skatar?
No, we did not. We won winners finals, and then we lost first set 3-2 and then 3-0 in grand finals
against Muta King Armada.
That's right.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Oh.
But it was a ton of fun. He is a phenomenal teams player, and I really felt like I got to bring out what I knew in teams with him, and we just both showed mutual respect to each other and good team play the whole time. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I felt like this is like one, because like even with Lucky, sometimes I feel like Mango doesn't give his partners enough credit or enough trust to make it work. But I felt like he had a sense of trust with you in that it's like, okay, like Kevin can handle this, and I don't have to I don't have to distract myself from what I'm doing. So I miss
that. Was nice, and I did kind of notice that as well. I really like that.
Is there any other points you want to talk about? Shameless plugs. How do we reach you? What's your stream?
Plugs, you can't reach me. I'm invisible. I'm gone. Mango is just Craig-asming in the chat. I was wondering if there were any questions.
Okay, we'll leave a little bit of time for questions. Unfortunately, it's like chaos right now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's fine. I'd rather there be a lot of chat activity and there be a lot of people that are interested in general what's going on than there's, I mean, there's a few people that ask questions and it is nice, but I really want to be able to kind of reach as many people as possible with a different type of improvement ideas. So it's okay if the chat goes nuts. I have no problem with that. I want them to have fun.
All right. We'll leave some questions up. You know what would be really cool, but I think this is like hyper elitist.
Okay.
I was thinking of creating a message board, which would be invite only, but like if you have access to us having the discussions, having it public and having it archived, that like everybody could see. And maybe once in a while we'll like limit the number of posts from like non-improved people. Like okay. It sounds like really elitist, but like I feel like there has to be some like medium that covers forums, upvoting, publicity, and like archiving, right?
I will say that so there was always an issue with like the Melee backroom, the MBR, that we kind of had that forum for discussion somewhat, but the issue was there was always a bit of contention about whether we should release what we say or not, as opposed to just like these decisions that we overall more or less agree on. And if we do release kind of the way we got there, I think that could upset a lot of people because sometimes, there will be things that a lot of good players will think and they'll be like, well, I hate that everyone thinks about it this way, or, it's so stupid that all Fox players think X or whatever. And, Fox players are going to read that and get pissed off.
Yeah, but it'd be a public forum that only we could write on, but everybody else could see it. So if you and Cactar are talking about, like, edge guarding theory, like, no one sees it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the problem I had with Smashboards was you had people that knew nothing about the game as an authoritative figure dismantling what you would say and say that you were respected, but they would say they would give out blatantly wrong information.
Yeah, I mean there will be a problem with that. And I don't have the best solution. I think that's one avenue worth trying. I will say though that by the end the MBR did kind of die. And I don't really know the reasons for that. I don't really know what got people so much less involved in talking about the game. There may be an attitude shift that it would take more than a type of effort like this to fix, and I don't really know what the cause of it is. So even if I like that idea, there might be something else going on here I don't know about.
Yeah, people are making fun of that idea. But, I mean, that's part of the reason why I left Smashboards, because it was becoming less KK and Cactar and more Bubba King and random people. Like,
oh, you're going to go in on Bubba King?
No, you get it. I'd read the Falcon boards, for example, and they thought that Stomp Out of Shield was the gospel. And I was like, no, this is so bad. Like they would give advice on, like, how do I beat Sheik? And I would just read it, and I would just laugh at it and say, yeah, you keep doing it, and you're gonna keep losing. I mean, not to sound arrogant, but
problems between knowledgeable people and people that were less knowledgeable, and that accelerated as we got closer to Evo 2013 and beyond. I won't deny that.
But I mean, it sounds elitist, but I feel like there's a lot of questions that could be asked in that form of a weird public forum. We could call it Peepee's Peepee. I don't know.
Okay, let's not do that.
Okay, I'm just
Let's
kidding.
just not do that. But I don't know. We could do. I don't really know what we could do, but it would. If there are people that are down, it could be good. If for whatever reason the forum just encourages good discussion, that's important. Because there have been other groups or other things I've been part of that like have the potential to just be really productive and interesting and just don't work out. So as long as the people are interested, that's fine.
There are a ton of people interested, and I feel like I'm cheating everybody when like I get hidden access to Cactar and Kirby Kaze on Facebook, and I'm like, this is like a gold mine for me, and
right.
I feel very privileged that I have access to this. The tens of thousands of people around us don't. But anyway, I digress. Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. No closing thoughts right now. Anything I will want to say as maybe related to this or not, I will hopefully just say on a stream that will be coming up hopefully sometime soon. I'm kind of just watching how I'm doing and waiting, and I'll know when it's the appropriate time to fully come back and start talking to everyone. There are a lot of things I want to update people on, but I don't think now or a short blurb at the end of now is the appropriate time to talk about that.
Okay. Well,
Nothing else to say other than thank you for having me. You were a wonderful host, sir. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for listening. Thank you, Mango, for whatever it is you did the whole time. For making the chat fun. And I look forward to playing you, Mango, at EVO. You will be someone I am very, 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 very much looking forward to playing. You were very good, sir.
I love sets between you two when you guys are on point. But anyway, I really appreciate you, PPMD, Kevin Nanny. You can follow him at AG_PPMD.
Right.
And I don't know your Twitch. I forgot it.
Twitch.tv/PPMD.
All right. Very simple. Really appreciate having you. Wish you the best. And hopefully we see you at more tournaments, but no rush.
Yes, sir. I will be around. Thank you again for having me.
All right. Good one.